What if human history is vastly older than our most cherished stories? This is not a trick question. It is one of the most profound inquiries we can make, pitting the timelines of faith against the timelines of science. For millennia, many cultures understood their origins through powerful narratives, meaning morality, a sense of place in the cosmos. The story of Adam and Eve is perhaps the most famous of these in the Western world. Yet, another story, told by geology, astronomy, and biology, suggests a history stretching back not thousands, but millions and even billions of years. Both narratives attempt to answer the fundamental question of where we come from. The implications of this question are enormous. It touches the very foundation of how we perceive ourselves and our universe. On one side, we have a story that is deeply personal and theological, explaining the human condition through a single, pivotal event in a sacred garden. It offers a framework for understanding sin, suffering, redemption. On the other side, we have a vast, impersonal, and evidence-based account of cosmic and biological evolution. A story of staggering scale written in the language of starlight ancient rock's genetic code. This account speaks of a universe that existed for an almost unimaginable eternity, before any human-like creature walked the earth. Exploring this topic requires us to navigate two different kinds of knowledge. As we stand here today, on 2025, we have access to more information than any generation before us. We can gaze at images of galaxies billions of light years away. The story of Adam and Eve found in the book of Genesis is the foundational creation myth for Judaism, Christianity, Islam. In its most direct reading, it presents a clear and linear beginning for the human race. God, after creating the heavens and the earth, forms the first man, Adam, from the dust of the ground. He places him in a paradise called the Garden of Eden, a place of perfect harmony and abundance. Adam is given the task of naming the animals, but among them, no suitable partner is found for him. This sets the stage for the next crucial act of creation. To provide Adam with a companion, God causes a deep sleep to fall upon him and fashions the first woman, Eve, from one of Adam's ribs. They are presented as the progenitors of all humanity, living in a state of innocence, unaware of shame or evil. This rule establishes the framework for free will moral choice and the consequences that follow. The narrative is not just about creation, it is about the establishment of a moral universe. The story takes a dramatic turn when a serpent, often interpreted as a figure of temptation or evil, persuades Eve to defy God's command. She eats the forbidden fruit and then shares it with Adam. In that moment, their eyes are opened. They become aware of their nakedness and feel shame for the first time. This act of disobedience, known as the fall, shatters the harmony of Eden. It introduces struggle, pain, and mortality into the human experience. Their choice has consequences not only for them, but for all their descendants. As a result of their transgression, Adam and Eve are expelled from the Garden of Eden. They are cast out into a world where they must toil for their food and endure hardship. For believers, this story explains the origin of human suffering, the nature of sin, and the separation between humanity and God. Science tells a radically different story, one not of a single moment of creation, but of a vast and sprawling history written in the fabric of the cosmos itself. This story begins about 13.8 billion years ago with the Big Bang, the moment when all the energy and matter in the universe erupted from an incredibly hot, dense point. Timeline visual. Big Bang, formation of Earth, first life, dinosaurs, humans. For billions of years, the universe was a place of stars and galaxies, but no planets, no life, and certainly no people. Our own solar system is a relative newcomer, forming about 4.6 billion years ago, from a swirling cloud of gas and dust left behind by older, exploded stars. Our planet, Earth, spent its first billion years as a molten, inhospitable world. The earliest evidence of life, simple single-celled organisms like bacteria, dates back at least 3.5 billion years. For the next 3 billion years, life remained microscopic, slowly transforming the planet's atmosphere and oceans. The idea of a human-like being appearing in this ancient alien world would have been pure science fiction. The timescale is almost beyond human comprehension. If Earth's history were a 24-hour clock, complex animal life would only appear in the last 3 hours, and our own species would show up in the final seconds. The concept of ancient worlds in science refers to these immense geological epochs and the life forms that defined them. Paleozoic era, when life exploded in the oceans and colonized land. Mesozoic era, the age of dinosaurs, when giant reptiles dominated the planet for over 150 million years. Cenozoic era, the age of mammals, which began after a cataclysmic asteroid impact wiped out the dinosaurs about 66 million years ago. Each of these worlds was populated by creatures that are now extinct, known to us only through the fossilized clues they left behind in layers of rock. This scientific timeline is not based on speculation or belief, but on a mountain of verifiable evidence. Scientists use radiometric dating, a technique that measures the decay of radioactive isotopes in rocks to assign precise ages to geological layers. The scientific case for a pre-Adamite world becomes most personal when we look at the fossil record of our own lineage. Paleoanthropologists have unearthed the remains of numerous species of hominins, the group that includes modern humans and extinct close relatives. These fossils paint a picture not of a single first pair, but of a branching family tree stretching back millions of years. One of our earliest known ancestors, Australopithecus afarensis, exemplified by the famous Lucy skeleton, lived in Africa over 3 million years ago. Lucy walked upright. She had a small brain and ape-like features, a transitional form between earlier primates and later humans. Following Australopithecus, the fossil record reveals a diversity of hominin species. Around 2.5 million years ago, the genus Homo emerged species like Homo habilis, the handyman associated with early stone tools. Later came Homo erectus, a species that existed for nearly 2 million years. They had larger brains, more sophisticated tools, and were the first to migrate out of Africa, spreading across Asia and Europe. The story gets even more complex as we approach our time. In Europe and Asia, we find fossils of Homo neanderthalensis, the Neanderthals who lived from about 400,000 to 40,000 years ago. They were robust, intelligent hominins, created complex tools, controlled fire, buried their dead, and likely had some form of language. For a time, they coexisted with another species, Homo sapiens. Modern humans first appeared in Africa around 300,000 years ago. For tens of thousands of years, multiple human-like species walked the earth together. This fossil evidence challenges the idea of a single ancestral pair a few thousand years ago. The number of hominin species, the anatomical changes over millions of years, and their geographical spread point to a long, complex process of evolution. Beyond the bones and stones, another, even more powerful line of evidence for a deep human past exists within our very cells. The field of genetics has provided a way to read history in our DNA, corroborating and expanding upon the story told by fossils. Every human alive today carries a genetic record of their ancestry. By comparing the DNA of people from different populations around the world, reconstruct ancient migration patterns, estimate how long ago different groups shared common ancestors, calculate the effective population size of our species throughout its history. One of the most compelling findings from genetics is the concept of mitochondrial Eve Y chromosomal Adam. These are not a literal first couple. Mitochondrial Eve refers to the most recent common matrilineal ancestor of all living humans, estimated to have lived in Africa around 150 to 200,000 years ago. Similarly, Y chromosomal Adam is our most recent common patrilineal ancestor who lived at a different time, perhaps a bit later. Crucially, they were not the only man and woman alive at the time. They were simply part of a larger breeding population whose specific genetic lineages happen to have survived to the present day in everyone. Genetic analysis consistently shows that the human population has never dipped to just 2 individuals. Studies of genetic diversity indicate that the bottleneck population of our ancestors was never smaller than several thousand breeding individuals. If we had all descended from a single pair just a few thousand years ago, our genetic diversity would be drastically lower than what we observe. The variety in our DNA is a testament to a large and ancient ancestral population, not a recent singular origin point. This genetic data aligns perfectly with the timeline established by the fossil record. Furthermore, the sequencing of ancient DNA, extracted from the bones of Neanderthals, other extinct hominins, has delivered a stunning revelation. Modern humans of non-African descent carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA in their genomes. When we place the scientific account alongside the Genesis story, it can seem like an irreconcilable conflict. One speaks of billions of years evolution, populations of thousands. The other speaks of 6 days, a divine creation, a single first pair. However, many theologians and thinkers argue that science and myth are not competing to answer the same questions. They are, instead, 2 different languages describing 2 different kinds of truth. Science is concerned with empirical truth. The what, the when, the how of the physical universe. Myth, on the other hand, is primarily concerned with existential truth, the why. So what existed before Adam and Eve? Science provides a clear and resounding answer: a universe of unimaginable age, a planet with a multi-billion-year history, a long lineage of ancestral species that preceded modern humans by millions of years. The evidence from geology, paleontology, and genetics converges on this single epic narrative of deep time. The world was not empty. It was filled with countless forms of life, entire ecosystems that rose and fell long before anyone could tell a story about them. Yet the question persists. It's not just about facts and timelines. For many, it's, what is the ultimate origin of my humanity? The Adam and Eve narrative provides an anchor for this inquiry. It frames our existence in terms of purpose, relationship with a creator, and moral choice. It offers order and meaning in a cosmos that can seem vast, chaotic, and indifferent. Its power lies not in scientific accuracy, but in its ability to speak to the human heart and our search for significance. Navigating this topic requires intellectual humility. Different methods of inquiry yield different kinds of answers. Science offers a provisional, evidence-based story of our physical origins. That story is constantly being refined as new discoveries are made. Religion and myth offer a timeless story of our spiritual origins, grounding us in moral meaning. To demand one be a literal substitute for the other misunderstands both. Leave with curiosity and perspective. The universe can contain both the 13.8 billion-year history of cosmic evolution and the 3,000-year history of a story that has shaped civilizations. We can marvel at the fossil of a 3-million-year-old ancestor, while simultaneously reflecting on an ancient story about a garden and a choice. Perhaps the greatest discovery is not choosing one story over the other, but recognizing our quest for knowledge, whether through a telescope or through a sacred text, is the most deeply human trait of all.